So last week we had started the 10th chapter, and did I have some slides somewhere? So we did the summary of we started with the 10th chapter. So what is this 10th chapter about? So we ended the 9th chapter by saying Krishna saying that Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namashkur, that become my devotee, pay your obeisances unto me. That's where we ended the 9th chapter. That was the 34th verse of the 9th chapter. And then the obvious question comes is that okay, how do I do that? Manmana Bhava. How do I bring Krishna in my heart? And that's the answer that Krishna is going to elaborate upon in this chapter. So we acronymed this chapter as C. So C means C is the source of everything. That's what the part we did last week. That source of everything. And then today we'll do the ślokī Bhagavad Gita, verse 8 to 11. So this is the essence of Gita, as Prabhupada has said, these 4 verses, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So we'll go over those today. And so let me just, so that's, and then last part. So that's the connection we talked about. Okay, this is the one. So coming to the So we talked about how the flow of Bhagavad Gita, last time we talked about it, is that there's a flow that Krishna is maintaining in Bhagavad Gita. Now he's teaching us how you can connect everything.
There's a lot of issue.
So the we can connect everything to Krishna. So the first one was our lamentation, Arjun's lamentation that was being connected to Krishna. And then the second one was called Sankhya Yoga. Our analytical ability can be connected to Krishna. And so on and so forth. And then ninth, we had the topmost secret, Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam, told to us, and then further elaboration of it in the 10th chapter. Right. So there's a continuing theme that we see across Bhagavad Gita in these chapters. So the Raj Vidya Raj Guhya theme continues in chapter 10. Right? So in the first 7 verses, we could just, let's see if we can go through. Yeah. So because Arjun is Krishna's friend, so he's giving him this knowledge. And then this knowledge is not accessible to even to demigods and to other rishis. So all that. So Krishna has given the value of the knowledge, and then also how it's rare because we are in the mode of ignorance. We cannot see the value of it. We cannot distinguish a jewel from a piece of glass. Right? So that's the initial part that Krishna gave, that he's the source of everything. That's what the essence of the first 7 verses was. And Krishna mentioned how everything is coming from him. All the sages and the progenitors, everybody coming from him. And then one who is convinced of this opulence of Krishna is liberated, engages in unalloyed devotional service. So this 8 to 11, as I said, is the ślokī Bhagavad Gita. So we'll spend some time on this today. So we'll start with the 8th verse. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Okay. So the meaning is, I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Worship me with all their hearts. So as I mentioned, this catuḥ ślokī is, as we are told, is the essence, right? So even if you don't study the whole Bhagavad Gita, but you're able to study these 4 verses, then we are good. But we have to thoroughly understand them. Don't think that if we don't read the Bhagavad Gita, these 4 verses, reading them will satisfy it. We have to even understand it. So this verse is Sambandh Gyan. So as you all know, that it's Sambandh, Abhidheya, and Pariyojana. So Sambandh is, as the word knows, it's my relationship. So what is my relationship? Right? And Abhidheya, what is the process? And Prayojana is what is the goal. So these 4 verses encompass all these 3 aspects of bhakti: Sambandh, Abhidheya, and Prayojana. So this particular first verse is Sambandh Gyan. And what is Krishna telling us? That he is the source of all the mankind. Right? So here he is saying, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, that I am the source of generation. So everything, so Mata Sarvam Pravartate, everything emanates from me. Right? So here Krishna is talking about living beings. Right? So Aham Sarvasya Prabhu means Krishna is saying that I'm the source of all mankind. So talking about living beings. Then Mata Sarvam Pravartate, that everything emanates from me. Right? So first part was that every living being, and now everything is emanating from him. So all material and non-material, everything is coming from Krishna. So nowadays, instead of calling living beings, that statement has been changed to living things nowadays. I was reading in one of Keshav's books, school books, and it said living things instead of the word living beings, because we don't have a knowledge of the consciousness within, right? The concept of beings has changed to things. But Krishna clearly distinguishes. So one who has understood this clearly, that there is a living entity and there is matter, that person worships me with dedication. Ita iti matva bhajante mam. Bhajante means devotion. Buddha bhava samanvita, with great attention. So that person who is able to know what this creation is able to worship me with dedication. Right? So in the first and second line of this verse, Krishna has talked about all his opulences in one go. Right? Immediately the next line is about relationship with devotees. He's talking about him and his devotees. Iti matva bhajante mam. So my devotees, they do service to me with love. They are devoted to me. So that's the third part of it. So the next line is about relationship. So it's very natural for us that when we come in contact with somebody who has amazing qualities and contribution, we naturally want to serve that person, right? Bhava samanvita. So bhajante mam, Krishna is saying. So this quality of Krishna, and we have seen this even in this material world, right? Anybody who becomes famous and who presents philosophy nicely, or we want to serve that person. We become so attracted to these amazing qualities and contributions, right? So this quality of us getting attracted to Krishna is called bhajaniya guna vishishta. So it's Jiva Goswami calls that. So bhajaniya guna vishishta, right? The Krishna is so amazing that whoever comes in contact with him can't resist serving him, right? Bhava samanvita. So bhava samanvita, right? It refers to raganuga bhakti. If you all remember in the eighth or ninth verse of Nectar of Instruction, we read about the different levels of bhakti. Does anybody remember what were those 3 levels? I think there were 3 levels we talked about. I'll see, where was it? I think it was the 8th verse of Nectar of Instruction. Anybody remembers?
Madhyadhikari, Kanishadhikari, and Uttamadhikari.
Those are the levels of people. I'm saying what kind of bhakti do they do? One of them is Raganuga bhakti. Do we remember the other ones? It was 8th, so I'm opening the 8th. Yes, this is the 8th one. Nobody remembers? So we did Vaidhi Bhakti, then we did Raga Nuga Bhakti. So there was 2 of them. And the third is Ragatmika Bhakti. So we had also talked about that. So let me share this. Let's share this with you. So this is the 8th verse of Nectar of Instruction. Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of the scripture. So this is Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi means we are following the rules and regulations, as we all are doing. We all are in Vaidhi Bhakti. Right? That's my understanding. We all are in Vaidhi. And by doing Vaidhi Bhakti, we can come to a point of Raga Nuga Bhakti. So what is Raga Nuga Bhakti is spontaneous love for Krishna. Okay? Where we follow the footsteps of any associate of Krishna in Vrindavan. And it becomes spontaneous love, as Prabhupada is telling us, spontaneous love. So that's Raga Nuga Bhakti. Right? And what are those what are those Vrindavan Vasis doing? They are doing Ragatmika Bhakti. So that Raga has become, or that taste has become their Atma, there's life and life air. So there are 3 levels of these Bhakti. So we are doing Vaidhi Bhakti. And that is why, so when coming back to where we were discussing that. So right now, we are not we're not bhajante with bhava samanvita. My heart is not fully in what is in serving Krishna, right? So the bhava samanvita means it refers to Raga Nuga Bhakti. So the Krishna is mentioning here about is Raga Nuga Bhakti. So currently we all are practicing Vaidhi Bhakti. So, okay, another question. Vaidhi Bhakti, what is our impetus to practice Bhakti? Can anybody think of an answer? Like, what is our what is the impetus? What is pushing us in Bhakti?
Recording in progress.
Did somebody say something? Hare Krishna.
Chanting, hearing, and reading, right? Remembering all these.
Yeah, you're right. Reading and hearing is there, but that's the activity we are doing. What is the impetus to do that activity? What is pushing us towards?
Our faith.
Yes, your faith. But is your faith enough, or do you need something else also to practice?
Krishna's mercy also.
Well, Krishna's mercy is always there.
Sincerity, Prabhuji, our sincerity.
Yes, sincerity. Well, okay, I'll answer the question. So the impetus for us when we do Vaidhi Bhakti is the instruction of a teacher or instruction of Shastra. Yes, we all are doing all what you all mentioned, but where's the source of it is coming either from an instruction from our teachers or from our Shastra. So for us in Vaidhi Bhakti, whatever we are doing, our impetus to practice Bhakti is the instruction of a teacher or the Shastra. I don't do it spontaneously. It's not like I wake up in the morning and suddenly I start crying for Krishna. No, that's not, there's no spontaneity in my Bhakti. I'm trying to follow what my teacher has taught me, what Prabhupada has taught all of us. We are trying to follow that. So we come to the stage of Raga stage when we love Krishna spontaneously. So Bhava Samanvita being talked about here talks of devotees who have natural love for Krishna and they serve him with that natural love. They have no ulterior motives, right? There is no, how do you say that? There's no cost benefit analysis. Devotees don't do that with Krishna. So like Prabhupada was a Raganuga Bhakta because he was all 24/7 only thinking about Krishna. His impetus to practice bhakti was not instructions of it. Well, his instructions of his teacher were there, but beyond that, his impetus was just our spontaneous love for Krishna. That's why for him it was he could do it 24/7. But for us, it's Vaidhi Bhakti. So I just wanted to highlight that this verse, it seems as if that, Mata bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita, right? Those, the wise who perfectly know this, they engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So it might be a doubt in our that, oh, I don't worship Krishna with all my heart, right? So that's why I just wanted to highlight here that this verse specifically is talking about Raganuga Bhakti. It's not necessarily about Vaidhi Bhakti that we all are practicing. So now Prabhupada has something to say to us in the purport, right? So Prabhupada, when Prabhupada gives a proof, he's giving a proof from everywhere, right? So we have talked about this in detail in the past, that how Prabhupada gives proof for whatever he says from all over across the Shastras. He used Shruti, Smriti, Purana, everything. And for that is practitioners have different faith in different Shastra, right? Some Mayavadis, they prefer in Shruti. Shruti is Vedas and all those Vedas. And so some have faith in Puranas. So Prabhupada uses everything out there to prove that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we need to give proof from Shastras. Shruti, Smriti, Purana Adi, Pancharatri ki vidhi vina, Ekantika Harer Bhaktir, Utpadeva Kalpate. The devotional service of Krishna that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like Upanishads, Puranas, Narad Pancharatra, all they are an unnecessary disturbance in the society. And that's what we see nowadays. People are taking up to haphazard devotional service, random devotional service, random faiths and random beliefs and all that sort of, and that creates a nonsense. It creates haphazard in the society. So Prabhupada gives proof from all three, Smriti, Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, and he says that how to say that Krishna is supreme. So he will start with the first one. So there's the Veda, right? So there's the Veda he's talking about. So Veda is Shruti. So he's started with Atharva Veda. The first reasoning he's giving from Atharva Veda. And he's saying that it is Krishna who in the beginning instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. Then again, he quotes from one another Upanishad, right? And then he comes, so this is also Narayana Upanishad, there's more he will do. Moksha Dharma, and then he comes to Moksha Dharma, right? Moksha Dharma is Smriti, it's a part of Smriti, okay? So from Smriti he quotes, the patriarch Shiva and others are created by me, though they do not know that they are created by me, because they are deluded by my illusory energy. So again, he quotes from a Smriti. And then lastly, he quotes from a Purana. Narayana paro devas tasma jatas chaturmukha tasma rudro bhavad deva sacha sarva gyatam gata. Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And from him Brahma was born, and from whom Shiva was born. So I just wanted to highlight here that how expertly Prabhupada shatters all the the wrong information that is being propagated by other practitioners. How haphazard this has, how much damage this has done to the society. That is why reading Prabhupada's books is of ultimate benefit, because Prabhupada is not concocting anything out of thin air. He gives us proof from everything out there. So he's giving everything, all that knowledge. And then towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada gives us again, Prabhupada always does that. There's a call for action in Prabhupada's purports. And so Prabhupada is saying, one who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master with references from Vedic literature engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness and becomes a truly learned man. Right? And then in the last sentence, he says, a Krishna conscious person should not be bewildered by the fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries and interpretations on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness. So that's a call statement. It's a call for action there. That don't follow all those misinterpretations and unauthorized commentaries of Bhagavad Gita. Right? So as you all know, we have read this. There are 4 sampradayas. What are the 4 sampradayas? Anybody remembers them?
Brahma Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Lakshmi Sampradaya. Three Sampradaya.
No, which one you said? Rudra, Shri, and Kumar. And which is the
Kumara,
fourth?
Brahma.
Kumara, Brahma, Rudra, and Shri, right?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
4. Okay. So yes, so these 4 sampradayas are there, and all these sampradayas have an acharya who represents that sampradaya. So there is Ramanujacharya who represents the Shri Sampradaya. There is Vishnu Swami who represents the Rudra Sampradaya. 4 Kumaras, Nimbarka Swami, and then Madhva for Brahma. So we all are Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Gaudiya Sampradaya. So who all have attended the disciplic, what's that? ISKCON disciple course. You would have been told about this, that each sampradaya is being represented by each guru, and we come from Brahma, and then Madhva is the most important acharya in our lineage. So he's Brahma, Madhva, and because we are a lineage coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was from Gauda Desh, so we are Gaudiya. So Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Sampradaya. That's our identity. So all these acharyas, they all represent sampradayas, and they all have presented authorized commentaries on scriptures. Right? So anywhere you get connected, you get complete knowledge. So Prabhupada is giving this call of action for us, that you should understand the opulences of Krishna and signs of loving him from a bona fide guru, to be bhava samanvita. So that's why somebody might ask, right, that okay, Prabhupada, we are Vaidhi Bhakti, but how do I reach Raganuga Bhakti? So Prabhupada is giving us an answer there, that you surrender, right, to a bona fide guru. And we have talked about surrender in detail many a times. Surrender is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time deal. Bhakti is an ongoing process. Whatever little faith we have at each time, we use that to surrender to our teacher. And we hear from Prabhupada, we hear from acharyas, and our faith grows, and then we invest more of our faith in bhakti. But surrender is an ongoing process. And surrender includes both. It includes diligence and dependence. So diligence means we diligently do what we are told by Krishna. And dependence means we depend on Krishna for results. So we talked about this, right? Surrender. Arjun's surrender was diligence. It was not as if after hearing the Bhagavad Gita, he just sat down chanting. No, he fought the war. But he fought the war as Krishna wanted him to fight. So that was diligence. Dependence was shown by Draupadi. Finally, she initially tried to convince everybody this is not appropriate. But then she just gave up. She raised her hands and she said, okay, fine, I'll depend on Krishna. And then Krishna comes and helps her. So surrender is an ongoing process and can be demonstrated in many different ways. So this is the first verse. As I said, this is the Sambandh verse out of Sambandh, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So this is the Sambandh verse, which tells us what is the relationship of Krishna with this creation, and how do I connect with Krishna. Right? So by understanding this through a bona fide spiritual master, I can be a bhava samanvita. I can come to that level. Okay, so that first was Sambandha. Then the second verse is Abhideya. So Abhideya is the process. What is the process that is being used to reach our goal? So Matchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathyantas Chamam Nityam Tushyanti Charamanti Cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So how do you become bhava samanvita is being explained in this verse. Matchitta. Matchitta means give your heart to me. Matgata prana. Engage all your sensory activities to serve me. What makes our senses work is prana vayu. There's prana, pan, udan. There are 5 different airs that makes, so those are the ones that make our senses go. So the word prana, madgata prana. So use your prana, all your senses to serve me, right? So an example can be when a devotee starts feeling that his or her service has become his life. That is madgata prana. Madgata, that is madgata prana. That will be a stage of madgata prana when a devotee feels that he cannot live without his service. Then bodhayanta. So bodhayanta means when devotees meet, they talk about Krishna. Right? Then kathyantasya mam nityam, constantly talk of Krishna. Nityam is there. So now somebody can ask that, okay, both those lines sound similar, right? Bodhyanta is preaching and Kathyantas is the word Kathyanta, talking. So it seems like they both are the same thing. But then the difference lies in the way we are doing it. So Bodhyanta is between devotees, right? And Kathyantas is to others who are not necessarily devotees yet, right? Who are not necessarily devotees yet. So it's yeah. So that's the difference between Bodhyanta and Kathyantas. So they sound similar, but they're not similar. They have a different meaning to it. So Tushyanti. So conclusion is that they are fully satisfied in doing this. And they're fully satisfied in doing this. And what is an example given? The example given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is of, he quotes Padma Puran. Yuvati nam cha yatha yunam, yunam cha yuvato yatha, mano abhiramate tadvan, mano me ramatai tvai. That as the mind of a young girl takes pleasure in thinking of young boys, and the mind of a young boy takes pleasure in thinking of a young girl, may my mind take pleasure in you, Krishna. Right? So that is Tushyanti and Ramanti. Tushyanti is, the meaning of the word Tushyanti as Prabhupada has given us, is become pleased, and Ramanti is enjoy transcendental bliss. And the example that has been given to us from Padma Puran is about a young boy and a young girl. They feel so much pleasure in thinking about each other. So devotees want to think about Krishna in that way. Yuvati nam yatha yuni, yunam cha yuvatau yatha. Right? And even Prabhupada has, in his life as an acharya, he's presented many examples to us where Tushyanti and Ramanti we see in his life. Once Prabhupada went to initial days, I think 66 or so, probably 67. His new devotees, new disciples, they asked Prabhupada to go and give a talk somewhere at a farm community or somewhere. And Prabhupada said, okay. So when Prabhupada reached there were not many people out there. So, but then Prabhupada closed his eyes and started chanting, and he did Jai Radha Madhav and all that. When he opened his eyes, he saw that everyone sitting there was naked. So it's a nudist colony. It was a nudist colony. His new disciples, they didn't know how to treat a sannyasi. They had no clue what a sannyasi means and how you have to treat him with respect and so on and so forth. It was a nudist colony. Prabhupada was giving an example. But the example of Kathyanti, like, speaking to others, Prabhupada, how did Prabhupada deal with that situation? He said, see, now you all have experienced that after removing your clothes and enjoying with your bare senses, how much pleasure is there. Right? They all were naked. So obviously they were, they were satisfying their carnal pleasures. And so Prabhupada said, see how much pleasure you have seen, how much pleasure you feel after, removing your clothes with your bare senses. There's so much pleasure there. So similarly, when you take off this material body covering and enjoy with spiritual senses, how much pleasure will be there? And at that point, they understood. All the nudists, they said, oh, perfect. Now tell us how to give up this material body. So So you chant, and Prabhupada said, you chant Hare Krishna, right? There's a switch that simultaneously turns off our material life and switches on the command for spiritual life. So how much relishment Prabhupada must have had to talk to this audience and also convince them. So Prabhupada is a living example of this verse. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha, kathyantas cha. So he was doing that, right? So, so once there was a hippie. He was stoned, literally stoned, fully under the influence of LSD. So he asked Prabhupada, what is bhakti like? How does it feel to be in devotion, like, this loving relationship with Krishna? Prabhupada explained in his own language. He said it's like a room full of LSD, right? So, and that devotee said, oh my God, that will be amazing. So Prabhupada knew how to explain it in the way people would understand it. So he was doing kathyantas, and he was also relishing it. Tushyanti ramanti cha, right? So excuse me. There is a sweet very famous in ISKCON, Simply Wonderful. Anybody of you have eaten that sweet?
Yes, sir.
Was that a no or a yes? I couldn't hear you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you have eaten it. Okay. Your voice is breaking, whoever is speaking. No, it's still breaking for me.
Called again? What was it called again?
It's called Simply Wonderful. There's a sweet that was, invented at the time of Prabhupada itself. It's nothing. It's just powdered milk, and they add sugar to it, and they bind it as a laddu.
Oh, okay.
So it's simple as that. So once that laddu was made, Simply Wonderful. Well, it wasn't called Simply Wonderful. It was a laddu which was brought to Prabhupada. There were a lot of laddus there, and Prabhupada distributed to everybody. And someone asked Prabhupada, what is this called? No, but even before Prabhupada could answer, there was another devotee who had that laddu in his hand, and he was eating it, and he said, Simply Wonderful. It came out of his mouth. He was just appreciating the dish. And Prabhupada said, it's called Simply Wonderful, right? And so every devotee used to say, oh, this is wonderful. And the devotee said, Prabhupada, you have given this all to us, so you are simply wonderful. And then Prabhupada said, oh, because everything is coming from Krishna, then Krishna is the one who's simply wonderful. So whatever we come across in bhakti, whatever you encounter in bhakti is simply wonderful. We go to the temple, we see the deities, simply wonderful. We taste the prasadam, simply wonderful. As even advanced devotees even see the problems coming to them as simply wonderful. Kunti says in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th chapter, verse number 25, she says, Vipadat santu yaha shashvat, tatra jagat guru, bhavat darshanam yat sayad, apunar bhava darshanam. That I wish all calamities happen to me again, what has happened to me. Because when those calamities come, you stay with me. Right? But when those calamities go away, you go away. Krishna, see, you're leaving us, Sinapur. So for a pure devotee, even those calamities become simply wonderful. Right? So it's Keval Anand Kanda, as that Lochan Das Thakur sings in his bhajan, Parama Karuna. Parama Karuna Pahudui Jana, Nitai Gaur Chandra, Sabavatara Sara Shiromani, Keval Anand Kanda. This process is simply wonderful, beginning to end. Right? In the beginning to end, it's simply wonderful. Somewhere in the middle, we suffer. We all are in the middle right now, because and it's not necessarily suffering. It's Krishna's customized plan for all of us to further purify us so that we can come to him, fully surrender to him. It's so the middle part, there is some suffering, but that suffering is not like the suffering of a common man, of a non-devotee. Our suffering is very much Krishna's plan. So Krishna is pulling us towards himself in one direction, And then because we are not, we are a bit reluctant, there is Maya kicking us from the back. So it's simply wonderful. Everything is simply wonderful. Right? So in the beginning, we all relish the transcendental pleasure coming from service itself, right? Because we all are good at doing something, we all like to do something. So we really relish some pleasure in that. And then when devotees come to a mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. So everything becomes automatically Anandakanda, Keval Anandakanda. And in the beginning, we enjoy what we like doing for Krishna. And then Krishna is irresistible, and Krishna consciousness is even more irresistible. Right? But the community coming together and sharing their skills, whatever facilities they have for Krishna's service is super irresistible. It's even irresistible for Krishna. Prabhupada said once that Krishna consciousness, this movement is going to take over the world by a cultural conquest. People don't get attracted to philosophy that much, but when they see a group of people loving each other and working in harmony and with a lot of energy towards Krishna's goal, that attracts people. I've heard so many people say that, the group at Baltimore Temple, they're so good, they're so service oriented. So our group, our team of the Baltimore team, and we have so many different avenues we are working on: DT worship, prasadam, garlands, books, college preaching, everything is there. But we are working in a way that in a way that it attracts everybody. It's very attractive because it's very attractive to Krishna. So by cultural conquest, we'll take over the world one day, as Prabhupada wanted us. So let's see now what Prabhupada is saying. Pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself. And in the mature stage, they are actually situated in the love of God. And here Prabhupada is giving an analogy here, a beautiful analogy that comes from, there is a book called, we'll read more about it in the Nectar of Devotion, but there is a book called Madhurya Kandimni, where this analogy is explained in detail, that how our heart is like a fertile ground, and then there's a seed of bhakti in it, and then the tree fructifies, and there were different steps. Right, the 9 steps we talked about: Shraddha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Ruchi, Asakti, Prema, all those that comes as the fruit, as the seed fructifies and becomes a plant and starts giving fruit. And the fruit of this process is Krishna Akarshani. It even attracts Krishna Akarshani. And that's what Prabhupada is giving here, that as a seed, we keep watering it. What is we watering it? By chanting and hearing, right? And then the seed grows, enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence, and then there it goes to Golok Vrindavan to Krishna. Actually, let me show you a picture if I have it somewhere. I thought I saved it somewhere. This one, yes. Let me see if I can. So this is the Goloka chart. We have a full size in the temple room towards the back. If you would have all noticed it, it's in the back wall, on the Mataji side towards the back. So here I wanted to show you something. So let me see how much I can make. Okay, I can do it pretty good. That's good. So we are here, Bhur, right? So this is the place where we are living. We start chanting. You all are chanting. So what is happening with your chanting? Your chanting is here. It's crossing these 7 layers of these are 7 elements: earth, water, air, fire, ether, false ego. And so there are 7 elements. It crosses those. It crosses all the 7 planetary, 14 planetary systems. You're chanting. Goes up, goes out, goes out. It crosses. Sorry. It crosses the Vraja river. So Vraja river is the river that forms the boundary of the material and the spiritual world. So see, your chanting is going all the way up. It goes to Vaikuntha. So this is Vaikuntha planets. All these are Vaikuntha planets. Cough. It goes there, but it doesn't stop there. It keeps going. Your chanting keeps going, and it takes a turn. And now where does it go? Ayodhya-dohaṁ, which is above these Vaikuntha planets, and then it keeps going, and then it goes to Goloka-dohaṁ. And where does it go in Goloka-dohaṁ? It crosses through all the petals of that Dhamma, and it's coming, and it comes to Krishna's lotus feet. So that's what happens to our chanting. That's how our chanting works. So, and then it comes down back to us. So when we chant, this chanting, when done seriously, that's the way it goes. And it wraps itself around Krishna's feet. And from there, that the plant fructifies and it attracts Krishna completely. Krishna comes and sits in your heart. And then he never leaves. Well, he's already there. We haven't recognized him. But then he comes and he never leaves. And that's what this season is about. Balram comes. He comes with the plow. We celebrate Balram Jayanti. He plows our heart, makes the soil fertile. Then Krishna comes. So that's the seed sowing. And then when Krishna comes and sits there, then love for Krishna comes in the form of Radharani, which we're going to celebrate next week. Okay. Any thoughts here? Any comments? We have 2 more verses to go in this section. Anything on anyone's mind?
Haribol?
Haribol, Prabhu.
Yeah, right away. Is there anything on your mind?
Sorry, I lost you there, Prabhu. Did you mute yourself?
Yeah, I took my finger off it.
Okay, now I hear you.
I said, yeah, right. Anything on your mind? What did you just do? I mean, you're exposing this to such an intensified position. And this is exactly what happened to Arjuna. Krishna blows his mind right now. And then when you hear how Arjuna opens his mind to what Krishna's given him, he starts, doing something, what you're going to show. So, I mean, you're going too fast here and it's not fun. So you're going to have to definitely post this real quick so I can get back to it, because I got to, I'm very much relishing this. And when you,
I lost you there, Prabhu. Did you move away from?
Yeah. You said Krishna about Queen Kunti. He said calamities come are great because Krishna comes. And then what did you say? Other part of the sentence. Then
your voice is breaking, Prabhu. Sorry.
I'm just right here.
So what I was saying is, Prabhu, it's I think I mentioned that Keval Anand Kanda, right? That's what I was saying. Lochan Das Thakur's song. There's a song that he sings.
Right.
So for a pure devotee, even everything becomes simply wonderful.
Right.
And all the sorrows become simply wonderful, like as we quoted Kunti Maharani. Right. So in the beginning stage, we relish the service, but then in the mature stage, we are situated in loving service of Krishna. And that comes when the seed of bhakti has fully fructified. It's converted to a full-blown tree and a plant, and that the plant is now giving beautiful flowers. And that flower is prema, Krishna prema. And then it becomes Krishna akarshani. It even attracts Krishna. Right? So as Prabhupada has taught us, Krishna can give everything to us, but he doesn't give bhakti that easily. Because when he gives bhakti, it means he becomes our servant. He becomes entrapped. I have tied him to me now. Now Krishna cannot run anywhere. So it's a hard situation for Krishna to be in. So he rarely gives bhakti. So that's what I was touching upon, Prabhu.
Okay, but can you tell me what was since when you said calamities come are great? It comes, but when the calamities go away, what happens?
So this is Kunti speaking, and the verse number is 1.8.25. If you want to check. First canto, 8th chapter, verse number 25. Okay. And what Kunti Maharani, so Krishna is practically leaving now. He's leaving Hastinapur. And so Kunti Maharani is lamenting that, oh, Krishna is leaving now. So she says that when there were so much calamities upon us, Krishna, you stayed with us. You were right with us. There was the Kauravas were hell bent upon killing us, and so you were right there with us the whole time. But now, because everything has been settled, all the war is done, and all those demoniac people are dead, now you are leaving us. So I want to have all those calamities so that you don't leave me ever. So for her, calamities are becoming simply wonderful. She wants them.
Ah, okay. So the intensity of Krishna's association is there in the calamity as opposed to when things are mellow and
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
For a pure devotee, there are no calamities ever. For a pure devotee,
So-called
Yeah.
calamity.
Yeah, for a pure devotee, the mantra is simple, that everything that is happening to me is Krishna's benevolent plan to bring me closer to him. A pure devotee is seeing it as that. Look at Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada never gave up. In India, he tried to set up his, he wanted to earn a lot of money in business and use it for his spiritual master's service. But his business failed. Then he took sannyas and he wanted to start a league of devotees. If you all have read the Leela Amrita, Prabhupada set up a league of devotees in Jhansi, India. That miserably failed. But Prabhupada never gave up. He never said, oh, I think Krishna doesn't want me to do that. No. He looked at all that as a way that Krishna is directing him in his life. Krishna was saying, no, Prabhupada, I don't want you to do this. Take a turn, do this instead. And then he comes to Delhi and he starts his Back to Godhead magazine, and so much happens to him. But Prabhupada never gives up. He goes on to Jaladuta, he gets 2 heart attacks, he has barely anything to eat there. And what is Prabhupada doing? He's praying to Krishna. So he's not looking at those calamities as misery. He's seeing that, oh, this is Krishna's way of directing me in the right path. So that's how a pure devotee thinks. And then Krishna is sold to a pure devotee, like he was sold to Prabhupada. Prabhupada would clearly say, I have a backdoor key to Goloka. You all just follow what I'm telling you, and I'll take you all back to Godhead. And forget about Krishna. As long as we have that faith on Prabhupada, we all are liberated. We all are good to go. We are ready to go back home, back to Godhead. Krishna can never say no to Prabhupada. That's the beauty of the whole process that we are following. Bhejire Munio Thagre Bhagavanta Madhokshajam. I forgot that. So first canto, second chapter, I think it's 26th verse. Bhejiriya Munio Thagre, Bhagavanta Madhokshajam. That people who are following Krishna, by just following that path, we are also liberated. That's all we have to do. Just follow the path that has been shown to us by Acharyas. Yes, Bhejiriya Munio Thagre, Bhagavanta Madhokshajam. Sattvam Vishuddha Shemaya Kalpante Anutaniha. That's what we are told by Shukadeva Goswami. So following pure devotees does the task for us. Krishna will automatically come to us. Thank you for bringing that out, Prabhu. Anything else from anyone?
Yeah, the nectar is yet to come, because you're setting the stage right now for me. Okay, so okay, we there's a process here, there's a way, there's an understanding, and then you're saying that, okay, if somehow I can really get convinced, or if I become convinced, then what's next? Then and so what you're going to do is what's next. What you're doing, you're showing us what's next, and I'm excited to see what's next, because I had to read this chapter because I wasn't sure where we're at.
Okay.
And so then I read this and I got so freaked out. I said, I wonder where he's coming into this one tonight. So you're getting ready to come into.
Yeah. So this 10th and 11th verse, that's the goal, right? And the 10.10 is it's one of the most beautiful verses Krishna spoke in the entire Bhagavad Gita. Tesham sadata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So what is Krishna only asking us to do? Constantly. Serve him constantly with love. That's the only thing Krishna asks for. How simple it is. Right? So Krishna can only be known by his mercy. So this verse is telling us how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. This is prayojan, right? So ultimately, whatever we are doing in our bhakti process, in this spiritual life, is to have reciprocation from Krishna. Prabhupada was very practical. He said, what use is of a relationship if you can't talk to that person? Right? If you can't talk to Krishna, what is the use of that relationship? And the use of the word constant is very important here, right? So it's hard to be consistent, right? We try to do something and suddenly get distracted by some, sensory stimulation. It happens to me all the time. I say, no, I'll sit down to chant. I sit down and suddenly my mind runs off to somewhere. Right? So that is why being consistent is an important aspect. Right? The Bible says what does it say? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So we have this weakness, which is coming from this body, right? And also there is this mass distraction happening outside the culture that we have outside, this technology powered culture. It provides mass distraction for us. That prevents us from doing it constantly. That is why what Prabhupada has given us is very powerful. What you all are doing is so powerful that you're doing it constantly. You're doing it every single day, right? And when that happens, there is an immediate reciprocation from Krishna. There are so many stories of immediate reciprocation, right? I told that story of Raghunandan Das Thakur, that how once his father Mukunda Das told him to offer Shadam to Krishna. So the child, out of his simplicity, just offered it and sat there and said, Krishna, eat. And so Krishna, is out of love, he ate that, actually physically ate that everything. So there is immediate reciprocation for devotees who are constantly serving Krishna with love. Right? So first is Satatam and Priti Purvakam, as I mentioned. Satatam is constant and Priti Purvakam is love. By sincerity, we can attract the mercy of Krishna. Right? And consistency, being constant, is a demonstration of our sincerity. This is the exhibition of our sincerity, right? When one is focused in one's practice of spiritual life and has intense determination, then we are able to affect other people also. We are able to give it to others also. So the intensity of our purpose, the sincerity, and the practice to back it up all, then Krishna makes all arrangements in the world to fulfill our desires. Krishna's another name is Vanchatita. Vanchatita means someone who can fulfill our desires beyond our imagination. Right? And Prabhupada also says this in the, is it 2.1.11? I think it's 2.1.11. Prabhupada says that when we chant sincerely, all the energies of the universe, they come together to serve us when we chant sincerely. I think it's 2.1.11. I have to read you the statement. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. Find it. It's a very beautiful statement. The way Prabhupada says it is extraordinary. It's 2.1.11, I think. I don't think it's. Sorry, I can't find it right now. Probably I'll send it to you later on. But yes, Prabhupada says this in one of the verses I think it is the 2nd chapter. All energies synchronized are available to the person who is chanting sincerely. So yes, so chanting sincerely is what Krishna is asking us to do. Do the best with what we have. And when Krishna sees our intention, he sees our determination, our steadiness, according to our capacity, Krishna gives us the higher taste. We should never feel that, oh, I'm not good enough at this moment. We should not be frustrated with our inability, right? We should just do the best we can with what we have. Defeat and hopelessness is also an anartha. We all are already saved. Right? We should all be patient, because at the right time, results of our devotional service will come of its own force. And we have always talked about the 3S. The 3S being strict, serious, and sincere. Right? So the word strict means to be rigorous with oneself in whatever our chosen method of practice is. So that means strict. Serious means that during our practice, we are thoughtful and attentive to details. We are thoughtful and attentive to details. Where does that go? I thought I had a... Okay, yes. So, so it's a, yes, so strict means rigorous with oneself in whatever method of practice we have. Serious means that during our practice, we are thoughtful and attentive to the details. We don't back down from doing the needful to attain our goal, even in the face of temptation, distraction, or calamity. So that means that we are serious in our process. Sincere means to accept and follow Krishna's directive without any ulterior motives, without any envy in our hearts. Don't make a pretense. Don't show yourself as what you are not. Okay, don't do that. Just show whatever you are, because Krishna from within our heart already knows what we are. So don't try to show something that you are not. Right? So these three things are what constitute Priti Purvakam. So when we do all this with love, then when all the sincerity comes with love, then there is nothing holding back. There is so if you all must have, and I recently realized this, and I'm still realizing it, that whenever I do service, I don't see it as mine. I still have that problem, because there is this immense amount of ignorance sitting in my heart. Because I don't love Krishna, I don't see it as mine. I see it, okay, yeah, it's my service. Yes, I will invest time in it. I'll invest 2 hours every week in it. But if it is mine, if it is my job, then I'm 24/7 thinking about it, right? You know, many of you have children going to school, so you're always thinking, right? Okay, what am I going to give my children for breakfast tomorrow to school? Or did he or she did they do their homework properly? What did the teacher say to them today? And how was the day for them? So we're constantly meditating on it, because we see it as ours. So when that sincerity combines with love, then everything becomes perfect. Then it becomes my service. It's mine, Krishna. It's not, it's my, I have to do it. It's my job, right? And then it comes to Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Krishna says here, where's that verse? Where did the verse go? So Krishna says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Then what does that do? Dadami Buddhi Yogam. I give the real intelligence. Dadami Buddhi Yoga. So the word Buddhi Yoga is interesting here. If you notice, Buddhi Yoga. Now the Buddhi Yoga is a compound word. There are two parts to it. Buddhi and Yoga. So the word Buddhi Yoga doesn't necessarily refer to any specific process. Right? There is no particular system of sadhana called as Bhakti Yoga. Sorry, as Buddhi Yoga. We know about jnana, karma, we know about all that, but Buddhi Yoga is just that it can be done in all the 3 processes. So, I think Prabhupada talks about it in the purport. Let me see if I can. Yeah. So the word Buddhi Yoga was also used in the 2nd chapter. It came in the I think towards the middle of the chapter. Close. So it came in the 2nd chapter also. There the word Buddhi Yoga was used in context with karma. Right? But here the word Buddhi Yoga is being used for refer to the intelligence by which one will come to Krishna. So this is Buddhi Yoga referring to Bhakti Yoga. So I just wanted to highlight that the word Buddhi Yoga by itself can be for all the different yoga forms. In karma, if one meditates that he is not this body and therefore should not be attached to the fruits of work, and you know, he's using his intelligence to connect to Krishna, so that is called Buddhi Yoga in Karma Yoga. Similarly, in Jnana Yoga, when one uses one's intelligence to connect with the ultimate reality, right, then that is in the that is Buddhi Yoga in Jnana Yoga. So similarly, Bhakti Yoga means when we serve with all our intelligence to Krishna, so that becomes Bhakti Yoga and Buddhi Yoga. So the word Buddhi Yoga is a it doesn't refer to any specific process. It is a compound word and can be used for any kind of spiritual relationship that we have. Right? Okay. Okay, so yes, so Priti Purvaka means strict, serious, and sincere. Then Prabhupada, very interestingly, after talking about Buddhi Yoga in the purport, he talks about Guru. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but still, if he is not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instruction so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engages himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. Right? So if a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, then the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. So having a bona fide guru is important. In principle, Buddhi Yoga can take us back home, back to Godhead, right? So we can use our intelligence. But then we need example of those who have developed that love and take practical examples from them, right? So Krishna is giving his mercy through pure devotees. Right? The Mundaka Upanishad, Prabhupada quotes that a lot. It says, Tad Gurum eva abhigachet. Right? Eva abhigachet. Gachet means you take surrender. Guru, you surrender to Guru. And then also in the 11th canto, there is this verse called Yasya Deve Para Bhakti Yatha Deve Tatha Guru Tasaita Kathaita Hi Artham Prakashante Mahatmana. So there's only those people who have full faith on Krishna and the spiritual master, all the Vedic knowledge is revealed to them. Right? So simply by serving to this service to the, by rendering service to the spiritual master, we can all go back home, back to Godhead. Right? So somebody can ask this question. Sometimes people ask this question that why do I need a guru? You know, Shastras tell us that by chanting we can go back home, back to Godhead, right? Right. So yes, you know, yeah, the holy name is what takes us back home, back to Godhead. But one needs training and guidance in chanting of holy name. For that, one needs a guru. In the 64 devotional items that are given by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion, the first 5 are related to a guru. Right? So in principle, chanting is powerful enough. But chanting is a part of a process, and that process is meant to purify us. To develop that love of God, we need example of those who have developed that God love, or in the process of developing love of Godhead. Right? So Krishna gives mercy through those who spread his message. So both principles have to be respected, right? So there can always be exceptions, but then don't make exceptions as rules. They don't become rules. So that is why guru is very important. So that's the 10th verse. And the last one of this Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. Teshamevanu kampartham aham ajnanajam tamah nashyami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. This is right. So someone might say that, oh Krishna, your devotees also make so many blunders, right? Even though they are serious, devotees are serious, but still we make mistakes. We falter on that path of the serious practice. Krishna says he has great anukampa, great affection towards devotees. Where's the word anukampa artham? Special mercy. Krishna has anukampa artham. He has lot of mercy, lot of affection towards his devotees. So whenever any devotees, they make that mistake, Krishna from within the heart burns away that ignorance, right? So he personally comes and destroys that ignorance in our heart, right? And ignorance, where does that ignorance come? It comes from our past reactions, coming from our past misdeeds, right? And it is because of anukampa that we get this self-realization comes to us. So Krishna is saying it's evanukampartham. In the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a verse where Prabhupada explains this. 1.7.6. So this is first canto, 7th chapter, verse number 6, if anybody is keeping records. And where does Prabhupada says that? What does he say? Yes, this is the part I wanted to highlight. Revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting, but solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. So here also Prabhupada is clearly telling us sincere efforts. At our end, what only do we have? What we have to do is put in sincere efforts. That's all. Don't wait for that mercy to come. Krishna doesn't do a cost, like, there's no barter system between us and Krishna. Krishna, I did my 16 rounds today. Where is my transcendental pleasure? No, it doesn't work that way. We do our sincere efforts. We wait for Krishna's mercy to come to us. That is why patience is a virtue in everything happens gradually. Sane upramed. I forgot that verse. So sincere effort, that's what is needed, right? And I have shown that famous verse of from Brahma's prayers, 10:14:8. I have shown that many times to all of you. I'll show that again. One of the most important and one of my favorite verses. Tatte anukampam susamikshamano kunjan evatra kritam vipakam hridvag vapurbir vidadhan namaste jive tayo mukti pade sadaya bhakt. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So that's all we have to do. Wait for Krishna to bestow his mercy on us, all the while just patiently suffering the reactions of our past misdeeds and offering our obeisances to Krishna. Krishna, whatever is coming to me is your mercy. Whatever is happening to me is your benevolent plan to purify me. Just thinking that way, we just keep going. And we try to offer our best we can with our heart, words, and our body. That's the meaning of the word anukampa. I just wanted to highlight that. So anukampa doesn't mean that there's a barter system. Anukampa is Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy, that is why it's called causeless mercy. Jagai Madai were the sinner of the most sinful persons. They got Mahaprabhu's mercy, and immediately everything was washed away. Right? So somebody might come and say, oh my God, so much nonsense, and they get liberated. Here I am chanting forever, and I'm not getting anything. Oh, Krishna does not exist. No, it's causeless mercy. It happens when Krishna wants it to happen. And we need to keep that faith going patiently. And then the mercy comes. That's the way the Krishna works.
Haribol?
Haribol Prabhu.
yes, a lot of times I think to myself, and I get carried away because I'm an achiever. But this is all about being a receiver, not an achiever. You know, but we're so on a treadmill of consciousness of achieving. But you just pointed it out that it's not that mechanical. It's wherever you are, you do the best with what you've got and bring it, like you say. And so I have to wake up to that because some old conditioning comes to play all the time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I wake up and I go, oh man, oh my, you messed up again. You're trying to be a loser, And you're illuminating this understanding of this. With the receiver, aren't we the receivers? So nice. Thank you.
Yeah. It's not in our hands at all. There is no mechanical process by which we can just jump up and grab Krishna's mercy. It's going to come. We just keep doing our jobs. We be as humble as we can. Krishna hates pride. Even if an iota of pride is in anyone, Krishna doesn't come there. He doesn't come close. I always give this example to my son. I always give him this analogy that you are a very good person. We all are amazing, but that pride is like it's like you putting a diamond in a container full of stool, right? So nobody will even come close to that stool because the stool stinks so much. They will never even realize that there's a diamond in there. So we all are like diamonds. But I sometimes jump into a pool of stool with my pride. And then nobody comes close to me. Krishna never comes close. He says, oh my God, pride is not a thing that I want. And that pride is the way Maya enters into our life. Just imagine Maya is knocking on your door. So your pride will open the door. And then after pride comes, the attitude, relaxed attitude, laxity. The laxity will say, oh, I'm good. I'm so advanced. I've been chanting for 20 years. Don't worry. Maya, you come in, I'll take it. Don't worry. So laxity invites Maya inside. The last thing is justification. That whatever I'm doing is right. I'm mistreating others. That's right. I'm envious of others. I justify everything. That makes Maya a permanent resident in our house. So everything begins with pride. Our fall down begins with pride. Our distance from Krishna is because of that intense pride that I have in my heart. Thinking that I can achieve something. I can make it happen. So that doesn't work. Krishna doesn't like that. So yes, true. That's a good point to bring out. I also wake up with that same thought every day. I'm going to make something happen, but that's my foolishness. And Prabhupada.
What was that? What you said? Pride, and then something else. Satisfaction.
Pride. So pride. If you look at the analogy that I was trying to give, is pride opens the door. Okay. Laxity means in a relaxed state. So I'm relaxed now because I feel that I've been chanting for 20 years. So I see I do so much service. I do so much charity. My God, I'm amazing. That laxity is it asks Maya to stay back in the house. My heart, which I was preparing for Krishna, but pride opened the door again. Laxity makes it stay, and justification that whatever I'm doing is correct. That I'm mistreating devotees and being envious, all that I justify that. And that makes Maya a permanent resident in our heart and pushes Krishna away completely again from us. So pride is a strict no-no. And it becomes very, very heavy on our heart. Krishna is not able to come here. And Prabhupada is giving a story here, right, from Chaitanya Charitamrita. You all must have read that story about Prakashananda Saraswati, who was the head of all the impersonalists in Benares. And it comes in the Adi Leela. I think it's the 7th or 8th chapter where the story is mentioned. So Mahaprabhu, being very merciful, he broke the pride of Prakashananda Saraswati. But how did he break his? By his humility. So that anukampa, that great mercy of Krishna, can come in different ways. So that is why we should always be open to receive it. It can come in different ways. For Prakashananda Saraswati, it came in the form of Mahaprabhu's humility, which attracted him. In Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was speaking about impersonalism for 7 days to Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu gave his mercy, but through his silence. He just stood there and listened to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya for 7 days. For Keshav Kashmiri, who considered himself a big Pandit, mercy of Mahaprabhu came by finding his mistakes in him. So that Anukampa can come in many forms in all of our lives. We should always be ready to receive it. It could come in any way. Krishna's mercy, we never know. Might be, as I mentioned, some calamity. Might be somebody chastising us, some senior devotee chastising us. So it can come in any way. So we should always be ready. So that Anukampa is important. Anukampartham. And that when that Anukampa comes, that great affection comes, then all our ignorance is burnt away. But for that, we have to keep our heart ready. If it's not ready, the Anukampa might come, it might knock the door and then go away because I was not ready for it. So that's why Prabhupada starts the purport with an example, with a story from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So let's see what is Prabhupada saying. Yes, Asmita Mataji.
Prabhuji, you said that we should always be ready for Anukampa, someone that's I guess maybe like smacking us if we do something wrong. Is that what you're trying to say?
So not necessarily smacking you, but sometimes what happens is that if we do some, if we are doing something and somebody comes and says to us that, hey, this was not the right thing to do, or somebody comes and corrects us, a senior devotee comes and corrects us. My pride does not let me receive it properly.
Oh, okay, I got you.
That's
okay.
what I meant.
Okay, yeah. Okay, got you. Yeah. So we should, we should basically accept it and learn from it and improve upon.
Yeah. The reason we don't open our hearts to all this Anukampa that's coming in different forms is because I have fear in my heart. Because I feel that I'm all by myself and I have to fight this world by myself. If somebody comes and tries to correct me, I see that negatively. But when I start having full faith on Krishna, then everything coming to me, I become fearless, right? I said, fine, it's all coming Krishna's mercy. I have Krishna's backing. Then I become fearless. Then I take everything in the way it's supposed to be taken.
Right.
Yeah. So it takes some time to come to that position for us of fearlessness.
No, I mean, I personally had that experience where, I did something wrong and someone, Mataji, senior Mataji said that this is not how we do it, this is how we do, so I felt good that someone was nice enough to explain it to me. So, I'm very happy that we have the seniors that are very willing to say it gently, I mean, sometimes someone will not say gently. But then you just kind of just stay calm and say okay,
Yeah. And the time comes when it doesn't matter how the information is coming to us, gently, harshly, we come to a position where we are ready to receive the message. What is the lesson behind it, irrespective of in whatever form that comes? And that's a different level. That's a higher level of our improvement in life. We are not worried about how the message is coming.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. And here Prabhupada is clearly saying this in the purport. The pure devotee does not have to worry about the material necessities of life. He need not be anxious, because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotional service of the devotee. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So as I was saying, a pure devotee becomes fearless because he sees everything coming as Krishna's mercy. So there is nothing bad for him, for a pure devotee. So there was nothing wrong for Prabhupada. I remember there was this, somebody was telling me this story just recently, that Prabhupada was in Juhu. he was trying to set up the Juhu temple. There was so much trouble there. It was a nightmare to go through. For those of you who have read that book by His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj, that I'll build you a temple. And if you have not, I might have some copies. I'm going to display it in the temple room, in the temple. But so there it says, so that story was that Prabhupada was sitting in his room with his head in his hand. And a devotee entered, and so Prabhupada was saying, "Oh my God, what a headache this temple is. But just because it is for Krishna, it's okay." That's what Prabhupada said. So a pure devotee does, however hardships he or she has to go through, he sees it at Krishna's mercy. And that is the pure devotee's level. And that's what Prabhupada is mentioning here. That when Krishna becomes happy with the devotional service, then Krishna gives everything. So even the challenges look okay to a pure devotee. Okay, so I'll pause here. I won't start the next one because from next Arjun is starting to speak again. And this is a very, these are quintessential verses of Bhagavad Gita, because at this point we realize that at 12 and 13 that Arjun has fully understood the message of Bhagavad Gita. He's done, he's through, he's got it. Krishna has made a breakthrough. So you will see this when we do this 12th and 13th verse. After that, most of it is being spoken for, Arjun will keep on asking questions, but they're primarily for elaborating what Krishna has said for other people. Arjun is fully satisfied now. So we'll see this in the next class. Thank you very much.